Reshiram is basically what happens when you take a dragon, give it a theology degree, and then set it on fire with the intensity of someone who just discovered the truth about their favorite celebrity. This majestic white fluff ball is the embodiment of truth, which means it's that friend who will absolutely call you out on your nonsense, but do it while looking like an angelic cloud that just stepped out of a Renaissance painting. Standing at over 10 feet tall and weighing more than a small car, Reshiram looks like it raided Zeus's wardrobe and decided to go full divine intervention mode. Its predominantly white design isn't just because it wanted to match every minimalist Instagram aesthetic. White represents purity and truth across pretty much every culture that's ever existed. It's like the universe's way of saying this dragon means business when it comes to honesty. The most extra thing about Reshiram is its tail, which is basically a literal torch that burns with blue flames. Not regular orange flames like some amateur fire type, but blue flames that burn hotter than your mixtape and twice as intense as your aunt's political Facebook posts. These blue flames aren't just for show. They represent truth cutting through lies like a hot knife through butter, except the butter is deception and the knife is cosmic justice. But let's talk about those design details that make Reshiram absolutely stunning. The flowing, mane-like structures around its neck and head aren't just there to look fabulous, though they absolutely do. These represent the flowing nature of truth itself, how genuine understanding moves and adapts while maintaining its core essence. It's like truth has its own hair care routine, and it's working. The blue accents scattered throughout Reshiram's body are deliberate and meaningful. Blue has been associated with trust, wisdom, and depth of knowledge for centuries. Reshiram's wings are another masterpiece of design. They're not just functional appendages for flight. They're symbolic of truth's ability to rise above petty concerns and see the bigger picture. The way they're positioned and shaped gives Reshiram an almost angelic appearance, connecting it to the long tradition of divine messengers who bring uncomfortable but necessary truths to humanity. The eyes deserve special mention because they're absolutely perfect for a truth-seeking legendary. They're not the fierce, intimidating eyes you might expect from a dragon. Instead, they're wise and knowing, with a hint of sadness, because anyone who's truly committed to seeking truth knows that it often comes with the painful realization that the world isn't as simple or kind as we'd like it to be. Reshiram's signature move is the blue flare, and let me tell you, this isn't your average fire attack. This is truth incarnate, deciding that sometimes the best way to make a point is to literally set everything on fire. It's like when you finally decide to tell someone exactly what you think of them, except instead of words, you're using flames that burn at the temperature of pure honesty. The move can even burn through abilities that would normally protect against fire attacks because truth doesn't care about your defensive mechanisms. The power behind Blue Flare is absolutely insane. With a base power of 130 and perfect accuracy, it's not just strong, it's inevitable. That's the thing about truth. You can try to dodge it, you can try to defend against it, but eventually it's going to hit you. The fact that it can thaw out frozen Pokemon is particularly symbolic. Truth melts away the cold barriers we put up to protect ourselves from uncomfortable realities. Speaking of abilities, Reshiram has Turbo Blaze, which is basically the Pokemon equivalent of I don't care what protection you think you have, truth is getting through. It bypasses defensive abilities like they're tissue paper in a hurricane. Sturdy won't save you, Flash Fire won't help you, and Wonder Guard might as well be called Wonder Useless. It's the perfect ability for a Pokemon whose entire existence is about revealing reality regardless of how much people want to hide from it. But Turbo Blaze isn't just about bypassing defenses. It's about the unstoppable nature of truth itself. You can build walls, you can create barriers, you can surround yourself with layers of protection, but truth has a way of finding the cracks and getting through anyway. It's like water finding its way through stone, except the water is on fire and has strong opinions about your life choices. Reshiram's move pool is a masterclass in truth-themed combat. Beyond Blue Flare, it can learn Fusion Flare, which represents the intensity of revealed truth when it combines with other sources of understanding. The move actually gets more powerful when used alongside Bolt Strike, showing how truth and ideals can work together when they're not in conflict. Ancient Power is another significant move in Reshiram's arsenal, representing how truth often comes from understanding the lessons of the past. It's not just about present reality, it's about the accumulated wisdom of ages, the patterns that repeat throughout history, and the understanding that comes from seeing the bigger picture across time. Dragon Pulse symbolizes the raw force of truthful communication, not just knowing what's true, but having the power to make others understand it. It's truth as a weapon, truth as a force of nature, truth as something that can literally knock you off of your defeat if you're not prepared for it. In Unova's mythology, Reshiram used to be part of one massive dragon that belonged to twin heroes who founded the region. But when the brothers started having philosophical differences, one seeking truth while the other chased ideals, the dragon literally split itself in half like it was going through the world's most dramatic divorce. Reshiram chose the hero who valued truth, probably because it appreciated someone who wouldn't sugarcoat reality. This origin story is deeper than it initially appears. The original dragon represented perfect balance, the unity of all aspects of existence. When that balance was broken by human conflict, the dragon didn't just die or disappear, it transformed, ensuring that both truth and ideals would continue to exist in the world even if they were now separate. Reshiram's choice to align with the hero of truth wasn't arbitrary. It recognized that without a foundation of honest understanding, no real progress can be made. You can dream all you want about how things should be, but if you don't understand how things actually are, your efforts are likely to be wasted or even harmful. The legend says that whenever ancient Unova had conflicts, Reshiram would show up like some sort of flying lie detector, cutting through political nonsense and revealing the truth of situations. This wasn't always popular because truth has a tendency to be about as uncomfortable as wearing jeans that are 2 sizes too small, but it was necessary for actual progress. Historical accounts describe Reshiram appearing during times of great deception or confusion, when leaders were lying to their people or when societies were built on false foundations. It would emerge from its hidden realm, blazing with blue fire, and force everyone to confront reality whether they wanted to or not. Imagine being a corrupt politician in ancient Unova and suddenly having a massive fire dragon show up to fact-check your speech in real time. But Reshiram wasn't just a cosmic truth police officer. It also appeared to support those who were genuinely seeking understanding, who were trying to learn and grow and make decisions based on accurate information. Scientists, philosophers, honest leaders, they could count on Reshiram's blessing when their pursuit of truth was genuine. The relationship between Reshiram and its chosen trainers is particularly interesting. Unlike many legendary Pokémon that test trainers through combat or trials of strength, Reshiram evaluates potential partners based on their commitment to honesty, both with others and with themselves. It's drawn to people who can admit when they're wrong, who actively seek out information that challenges their preconceptions, and who value understanding over comfort. This creates a fascinating dynamic in the games. When you encounter Reshiram in Pokemon White, it's not just testing whether you're strong enough to catch it, it's evaluating whether you're honest enough to deserve its partnership. The battle becomes less about proving your Pokemon training skills and more about proving your character. Reshiram represents the idea that you can't build anything meaningful on a foundation of lies. It's the embodiment of the truth will set you free, but first, it's going to annoy the heck out of you. In Pokemon Black and White, it partners with players who value understanding the world as it actually is, rather than how they wish it could be. The philosophical depth here is insane. Reshiram isn't just a powerful dragon, it's a walking, flying, fire-breathing meditation on the nature of truth itself. It forces players to confront the question of whether they want comfortable lies or uncomfortable truths, and then literally gives them a legendary Pokemon based on their answer, Zekrom. Zekrom is what happens when you take a dragon, plug it into the electrical grid, and then give it a philosophy minor with a focus on idealism. This black lightning bolt with wings is the embodiment of ideals, which means it's that friend who's always talking about how things could be better and has enough raw energy to actually do something about it. If Reshiram is the friend who tells you hard truths, Zekrom is the friend who looks at the world and says, "We can fix this," while crackling with enough electricity to power a small city. Standing at the same impressive height as Reshiram but with a completely different energy, Zekrom looks like it was designed by someone who thought regular dragons weren't dramatic enough and decided to add lightning effects to everything. Zekrom's design is absolutely striking, and I mean that both literally and figuratively. Its predominantly black coloration represents the void of potential, the black slate upon which ideals can be written. But this isn't the empty black of absence, it's the rich black of possibility, like the darkness before dawn or the blank canvas before the masterpiece. The blue and red accents aren't just there to look cool, though they absolutely do. The blue represents the spark of inspiration, while the red symbolizes the passion needed to turn ideals into reality. The most incredible feature of Zekrom is its tail, which isn't content being just a tail, it's a full-blown electrical generator. This thing can produce massive amounts of electricity, like enough to power the entire Pokemon world's equivalent of Las Vegas. When Zekrom gets serious, this tail spins up like the world's most intimidating pinwheel and generates enough power to make Thor jealous. But let's dive deeper into Zekrom's design philosophy. The angular, almost mechanical aspects of its appearance aren't accidental. While Reshiram flows with organic curves that suggest natural truth, Zekrom has sharp edges and geometric patterns that represent the constructed nature of ideals. Ideals don't occur naturally. They're built, designed, engineered by minds that envision something better than what currently exists. The spikes and protrusions covering Zekrom's body serve multiple purposes. Visually, they make it look formidable and electric, like it's constantly charged with energy. Symbolically, they represent the sometimes aggressive nature of idealistic change. Progress isn't always gentle. Sometimes it requires breaking through established systems, and those spikes represent the willingness to be confrontational when necessary. Zekrom's wings are particularly fascinating because they combine organic dragon wing structure with almost technological looking details. The wing membranes have patterns that look almost like circuit boards or electrical pathways, reinforcing the connection between biological power and electrical energy. It's as if Zekrom represents the fusion of natural potential with technological advancement, the idea that we can use our tools and knowledge to build better worlds. The head design is where Zekrom's personality really shows through. Unlike Reshiram's wise, somewhat sad expression, Zekrom looks determined, focused, maybe even a little impatient. Its eyes have an intensity that suggests it's always looking toward the future, always seeing not what is, but what could be. The crest on its head resembles both a crown and a lightning rod, symbolizing both the nobility of high ideals and the ability to channel powerful forces. Zekrom's signature move is Bolt Strike, and this isn't your garden variety electric attack. This is idealism weaponized, the physical manifestation of I have a dream, and that dream involves you getting hit by lightning. It's an electric type move that can paralyze opponents, which is perfect because sometimes the best way to change someone's mind is to literally stop them from moving until they listen to your point. The mechanics of Bolt Strike are beautiful in their symbolism. With massive base power and the ability to paralyze, it represents how truly powerful ideals can be when they're backed by action. It's not enough to just dream about a better world. Sometimes you need to charge up your tail generator and make some noise. The paralysis effect is particularly clever because it represents how encountering truly revolutionary ideas can leave you stunned, unable to continue with business as usual. Zekrom's ability is Terravolt, which works exactly like Reshiram's Turbo Blaze, but with more lightning and attitude. It bypasses defensive abilities because ideals, when they're truly powerful, don't let obstacles stop them. It's like when someone is so passionate about their vision for the future that they steamroll right through every excuse and barrier people put up. But Terravolt represents something deeper than just ignoring defenses. It symbolizes the transformative power of ideals to change the very rules of engagement. When someone comes along with a truly revolutionary idea, the old ways of doing things suddenly become irrelevant. The defensive strategies that worked before don't work anymore because the game itself has changed. Zekrom's move pool reflects its role as the champion of progress and change. Fusion Bolt, its signature Z-move equivalent, represents the explosive power of ideals when they reach critical mass. The move becomes more powerful when combined with Fusion Flare, showing how ideals and truth can amplify each other when they work together instead of in opposition. Outrage is particularly significant for Zekrom because it represents the righteous anger that often drives idealistic change. Sometimes progress requires being furious about injustice, about inefficiency, about systems that don't serve their intended purpose. Zekrom's outrage isn't random destruction. It's focused fury directed at obstacles to progress. Thunder represents the announcement of change. Just as thunder follows lightning and warns of the storm's power, Zekrom's thunder move symbolizes the way idealistic movements announce themselves to the world. It's not subtle. Ideals that are powerful enough to change the world rarely are. Zen Headbutt might seem like an odd move for such an energetic Pokemon, but it represents the focused mental discipline required to turn ideals into reality. It's not enough to just have dreams. You need to have the mental clarity and determination to make them happen. In the same mythological split that created Reshiram, Zekrom chose the hero who valued ideals over truth. This wasn't because it didn't care about reality, but because it believed that the most important thing was having a vision for how reality could be improved. While Reshiram asks what is, Zekrom asks what could be. This choice reveals something profound about the nature of ideals. They're not about ignoring reality. They're about refusing to accept reality as permanent. Zekrom aligned with the hero of ideals because it recognized that without vision, without dreams of something better, truth becomes just a catalog of problems without solutions. The legend describes Zekrom as appearing during times when people lost hope, or when society needed to be pushed toward progress. It's like a legendary life coach that shows up crackling with electricity to remind everyone that they can do better. Ancient Unova apparently had some pretty intense motivational speakers, and Zekrom was basically the ultimate version of that. Historical accounts tell of Zekrom appearing during periods of stagnation, when societies had become too comfortable with the status quo. It would emerge during times of social unrest, technological innovation, or cultural revolution, lending its power to those who dreamed of building something better than what existed before. But Zekrom wasn't just about the destruction of the old order. It was particularly drawn to builders, creators, inventors, and visionaries, artists who imagined new forms of beauty, scientists who dreamed of understanding the universe, leaders who envisioned more than just societies. These were the kinds of people who could earn Zekrom's partnership. The relationship between Zekrom and its chosen trainers is based on shared vision. Unlike Reshiram, which values honesty and clear sight, Zekrom looks for people with imagination, creativity, and the courage to pursue their dreams even when others call them impossible. It's drawn to the kind of person who looks at a problem and immediately starts brainstorming solutions. In Pokemon Black, encountering Zekrom is less about proving your strength and more about proving your vision. The battle becomes a test of whether your ideals are powerful enough to deserve partnership with the legendary embodiment of change itself. It's evaluating whether you have the passion, creativity, and determination to actually build the better world you envision. Zekrom represents the revolutionary spirit, the belief that the status quo isn't good enough and that with enough energy and determination, anything can be changed. It's the embodiment of every social movement, every scientific breakthrough, and every moment when someone looks at the world and decides to make it better. The philosophical implications of Zekrom are staggering. It represents the understanding that ideals, when properly channeled, become the driving force behind all progress. Every invention, every piece of art, every social reform started with someone having an ideal about how things could be better and then having the energy to make it happen. Kyurem. Kyurem is what happens when you take the concept of emptiness, give it ice powers, and then make it look like it escaped from the world's most terrifying freezer. This is the third member of the Tao Trio. And if Reshiram and Zekrom represent the two sides of a philosophical coin, Kyurem is what you get when someone steals the coin and leaves you with nothing but the void where it used to be. Looking at Kyurem is like staring into the face of cosmic loneliness. This dragon or ice type legendary is what remains when the truth and ideals have been separated, leaving behind only the hollow shell of what once was complete. It's basically the Pokemon equivalent of that feeling you get when you finish a really good book series and realize there's nothing left to read except amplified to cosmic proportions and given the ability to freeze entire cities. Kyurem's design is simultaneously beautiful and terrifying. Like if you asked an artist to draw the concept of winter having an existential crisis. Its grayish-blue coloration represents the cold emptiness that exists in the absence of passion and purpose. The ice formations covering its body aren't just armor. They're crystallized loneliness, frozen potential that can't be realized without the missing pieces of its soul. The most striking thing about Kyurem is how obviously incomplete it looks. Unlike Reshiram's flowing elegance or Zekrom's crackling power, Kyurem appears damaged, hollow, like something vital has been torn away. Its right arm is completely ice, its left wing is a frozen stub, and its tail is a jagged icicle instead of the magnificent appendages of its counterparts. It's visual storytelling at its finest. You can literally see the emptiness. But let's examine the deeper symbolism in Kyurem's design. The asymmetry isn't just about showing damage. It represents the fundamental imbalance that occurs when unity is broken. The way the ice formations seem to be filling in gaps where something else should be suggests that Kyurem is constantly trying to compensate for what it's lost. But the substitutes are cold and lifeless compared to the original. The color palette is particularly brilliant. While Reshiram's white represents pure truth and Zekrom's black represents pure potential, Kyurem's gray represents the space between, not the absence of color, but the mixture of all possibilities. The blue ice accents connected to both of its counterparts while emphasizing the cold, preserved nature of its existence. Kyurem's face is perhaps the most haunting aspect of its design. The expression isn't angry or sad, it's vacant, like someone who's lost something so fundamental fundamental that they're not even sure what they're missing anymore. The eyes have a hollow quality that suggests vast intelligence constrained by equally vast emptiness. The ice formations covering Kyurem's body tell a story of attempted self-preservation. When the original dragon split, the remaining portion couldn't simply cease to exist. It had to find a way to continue. The ice represents Kyurem's attempt to fill the void left by its missing aspects, but ice is static, unchanging, a poor substitute for the dynamic forces of truth and ideals. Kyurem's signature move is Glaciate, which perfectly captures its nature as the embodiment of emptiness. This isn't just an ice attack. It's the physical manifestation of having all the warmth, energy, and purpose drained out of you. The move doesn't just deal damage, it slows down opponents, representing how emptiness and lack of direction can paralyze progress and leave you feeling stuck. The mechanics of Glaciate are beautifully symbolic. It hits multiple opponents, representing how emptiness can spread and affect everything around it. The speed reduction effect symbolizes how being around someone or something that's fundamentally hollow can drain your own motivation and energy. It's like emotional hypothermia. The cold seeps in gradually until you can barely move. But here's where Kyurem gets really interesting, and where the true genius of its design becomes apparent. It's not content to stay empty forever. This legendary has unique forms that represent its attempt to reclaim what it's lost. Black Kyurem and White Kyurem are what happen when it temporarily fuses with Zekrom or Reshiram respectively. These aren't just power-ups, they're glimpses of what Kyurem could be if it were whole again. Black Kyurem, formed by fusing with Zekrom, combines ice with electricity in the most dramatic way possible. The transformation is stunning. Suddenly, the vacant expression is replaced with focused intensity. The damaged wing becomes a functioning appendage, and electrical energy courses through the ice formations. It gains access to Freeze Shock, a move that represents the collision of emptiness with idealistic energy. Freeze Shock is a masterpiece of move design. It's an electric-type attack that can freeze the opponent, representing the paradox of energetic stillness. It's like watching someone who's been stuck in depression suddenly find their passion again. Explosive, transformative, and a little bit dangerous. The move requires a turn to charge, symbolizing how the process of regaining purpose takes time and preparation. White Kyurem, formed by fusing with Reshiram, combines ice with fire to create something that shouldn't be possible, but absolutely is. The transformation is equally dramatic, but in a different way. The ice formations become sleeker, more elegant, and fire energy begins to emanate from within the frozen shell. Its signature move, Ice Burn, represents the paradox of cold flames. Truth so pure, it burns even while it freezes. Ice Burn is conceptually brilliant, a fire-type move that can freeze opponents. It represents the understanding that truth can be both enlightening and paralyzing, warming and chilling at the same time. Like Freeze Shock, it requires a charging turn, emphasizing that the integration of emptiness with purpose is a deliberate, thoughtful process. The fusion forms reveal something crucial about Kyurem's nature. It's not truly empty. It's a container waiting to be filled. The ice formations that make it look damaged and incomplete are actually sophisticated systems for channeling and containing the energies of its counterparts. When it fuses with Reshiram or Zekrom, those systems activate, turning Kyurem from a hollow shell into a powerful hybrid. Kyurem's ability, Pressure, is perfect for its role as the embodiment of emptiness. It makes opponents use more energy to perform their moves, representing how being around someone who's hollow and directionless can be emotionally draining. It's like having a conversation with someone who's given up. It takes more effort to get through to them, and you leave feeling exhausted. But pressure also represents something deeper, the weight of potential. Kyurem's emptiness isn't passive. It's an active force that draws energy from its surroundings. This reflects the understanding that emptiness and fullness are intimately connected. One defines the other, and the space between them is where real power lies. In Unova's mythology, Kyurem is what remained after the original dragon split to create Reshiram and Zekrom. It's the empty shell, the discarded husk, the part that neither brother wanted because it represented neither truth nor ideals, but simply nothing. But this isn't a tragic story. It's a story about potential and the journey toward wholeness. The original dragon split wasn't a division. It was a transformation, a unified thing becoming three separate entities, each embodying a different aspect of existence. Kyurem represents the foundational structure, the underlying framework that makes both truth and ideals possible. Without the neutral space that Kyurem represents, neither Reshiram nor Zekrom could exist. Historical accounts of Kyurem are different from those of its counterparts. While Reshiram appeared during times of deception and Zekrom emerged during periods of stagnation, Kyurem manifested during moments of profound loss or transition. It would appear when societies were caught between old and new, when individuals were struggling with fundamental questions of identity and purpose. But Kyurem wasn't just attracted to emptiness, it was also drawn to potential. Artists in creative blocks, scientists at the edge of a breakthrough, leaders facing impossible decisions. These were the kinds of people who might encounter Kyurem. It represented the space of possibility that exists before creation, the blank canvas before the masterpiece. The relationship between Kyurem and its potential trainers is the most complex of the three. Unlike Reshiram's focus on honesty or Zekrom's emphasis on vision, Kyurem evaluates trainers based on their ability to embrace uncertainty, to sit comfortably with not knowing, to find strength in emptiness rather than being crushed by it. In Pokemon Black 2 and White 2, Kyurem becomes the focus of the plot because it represents the resolution of the conflict between truth and ideals. The game suggests that it's not enough to choose one or the other. True wisdom comes from understanding that both are necessary, and that the space between them isn't emptiness but potential. Kyurem represents the space between extremes, the neutral ground where both truth and ideals can exist without conflict. In Taoist philosophy, this would be the concept of wu-wei, the power of emptiness, the strength that comes from not forcing outcomes but allowing them to emerge naturally. The legend says that Kyurem will only become complete again when someone appears who can balance both truth and ideals, someone who doesn't see them as opposing forces but as complementary aspects of a greater whole. This is why Kyurem can temporarily fuse with either Reshiram or Zekrom. It's constantly searching for the integration that will make it complete again.